Hey guys, this is Joshua, and
Vance.
we are the owners of SOS Home Offers, and we'll be answering some questions for you.
Super excited. Let's
Let's
get this
do it.
going. All right, so how we met. Love this. It's actually really interesting. We technically met at a walkthrough, but that was just a typical like buyer walkthrough, coming and checking out a property. That would be technically the first time we met, but the real like relationship started when Josh actually gave a call. Was looking to talk about wholesaling, get some some feedback, some advice, and I don't know, just through the questions that Josh was asking, I found something just with the way he spoke. And it's very interesting. His questions turned into, long story short, into an interview. In the moment, I was asking about his goals, asking what he was doing, and right then and there, it's like when you find somebody great or you see there's potential in there, you got to take advantage of it. And I'd like to hear kind of your take on how that first interaction went for you.
Yeah, me and my dad had gone to a property to take a look. At the time, Vance, I think, had to wear a mask
Oh
because
yeah,
of the
COVID
times.
days.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
and so yeah, I knew there was I needed to ask him the question for the information that I needed. Right, it just made the most sense. And so I was at home chilling on I think a Saturday night, and the questions that he started asking back, I was like, "Is this is this an is this an interview?" I remember I was like, "I got to mute the TV." I ran to my room to try to center myself and focus and pray real quick. But yeah, it was really cool because it I got the feeling very quickly that it wasn't just giving answers to, you know, there you go, there's your answers, now run along. It was more like, hey, how else can I help you? Is there anything else you want to accomplish? It felt like there was more care behind it, which is kind of what drew me to him.
So how do I know that this was a right fit? Well, let me just start off with the interview, right? Like the impromptu interview. I always have a fun sales question I like to ask that even if I give you all the training in the world, how do I know that you can still lock up a contract? How do I know you can still, make a sale? And it didn't matter what he said. He said all the right things, but it doesn't matter what they say. My immediate response is, I'm not convinced. Why? Because I need to give some rejection. I want to see how they handle selling themselves. Well, most people will get through that. And he kind of repeated himself, which is very typical. But it's the next part that matters because no matter what they say yet again, I still say, yeah, I'm still not convinced. And then that's where all the fumble rooski starts to normally occur. With Josh, there was a 17-second, because this call was recorded, and there was a 17-second delay. And it wasn't until after we hired that it was like, why was there such a long delay? And you had said that it's because and he even said it earlier, that he was praying during that moment to find the right words of what to say. And of course, he said the right things. He held his composure. So those were already the big signs of like for some of the sales. But with the goals and just being really like faith led, a Christian led man. That was already a great starting point, great values there, and just super driven. And the fact that he's willing to ask for help, that shows humility, right? And he just showed all the character traits of the ideal team player that we're just looking for. So I knew in some form or capacity I would love to have him on the team. But then what happened from there is where it gets interesting.
Yeah, from my perspective, I mean, I was at that point thinking about making a big decision. And so I just knew I had to get out and do something and be serious about it. And so I had looked around at a bunch of different places that I could potentially work or do on my own. I knew I wanted to be in the real estate world because that's what I had grown up learning from my dad and other mentors. So, but working with Vance, it was seeing how important the core values were, how they were pushed, because it was something that was not just something to put on a picture frame, right? It was something that they truly wanted to live by in serving people. So it just felt very quickly like home. Plus, I connected with them so fast that it was just like felt like brother from another mother type of vibe. So I just knew I needed to stick around and just whatever it was, we were going to do this thing together. So for me, that's how I knew that hey, this was the right fit. And then as we continued to grow, um, that's when he asked if I wanted to come on as partner co-owner with him so that we could drive this ship all the way to.
Man, he sped up through a lot. Let me give you a little bit of a timeline there. I just knew I wanted to work with him in some form or capacity. So it was like, hey, do you want to come on? I call it a local runner now, but at the time we didn't know what we were looking for. Just wanted him on the team. We were like, okay, maybe you can do some lead management, but really quickly was like, let's do disposition. We needed help, selling our deals. And then from disposition, he came on to do acquisition. And then from acquisition, he turned into like the sales team lead. And it was crazy because he embodied all those core values that we had. And for those that don't know, being a selfless servant, ownership with everything that we do, taking complete ownership, striving, having that personal and professional growth mindset, and then integrity above all else, right? It's like our roof of integrity. And at the time, those were our four core values. And now we have tenacity, where again, you power through any no that you're given. And he had honor and embody those core values so much. I still remember, this is where I knew it was the right sign. Like, I remember you're so excited for not just the company, but the brand, the values, that you spoke the core values, you embodied the core values, especially when other people came on. And I just knew that that was the fact that you were uh, representing and actually embodying the core values, not just repeating it, but embodying it through your actions. It was like, this is a no brainer. And so there was always that game plan of like, how do we work together in some form or capacity? And it was a no brainer. So that whole like very quick went from what you said, like, oh, I came on and then looked at a partnership. There was a lot of hard work that you put in through that, and
Yeah.
a lot that I'm very proud to say that you were able to do. Great question. What do we do in business? What do I do? And I think there's two different parts. What I used to do is what Josh now does. So I'd like to actually kick this over to you, and then I'll talk about what I do now.
Yeah. So as our partnership together, he acts as a COO and me as the COO. So I'm looking over all the day to day operations. I'm also pretty heavily involved in the sales side still because that's where my expertise was, and that's where we need to keep growing. And so typically for me, obviously running meetings with the team, doing one-on-one calls. I'm joining calls with our different marketing vendors and things like that. Sometimes having to go to the attorney's office and sign, papers for closing when we have to take down houses, or if we're selling them, right? But for the most part, I'm working with the sales team. I'm running coaching calls, auditing calls. I'm making calls to sellers myself. I'm checking in on the KPIs and numbers for each of the team members, making sure that they're daily goals are hit and helping solve problems along the way. So, one of our team members has an issue, they feel like they can't overcome it. Typically, that's when they'll ask me to jump on a meeting, kind of run through what have you tried already, what could some other options be. But yeah, for most part, for me, it's all the day to day things, just making sure the ship's running smoothly.
No, I love it. And I actually will flip this question just slightly as well. What's your perspective of what you think I do? And then I'd love to elaborate on what I think I do as well.
Yeah, so for me, and it comes from a book, but the two parts is I'm the integrator, he's the visionary, which makes a lot of sense because Vance is the type where he'll wake up in the morning and have dreamed 30 ideas, and he's like, "Hey Josh, here's a plate of 30 ideas," which is great. We need that. And then my job is to figure out which one's working, which one's going to be the best fit, and get it implemented with the team. So Vance also has a lot to do with more of the marketing and finance side right now, and so it keeps some of that off my plate until I can have room to add more on. But for the most part, looking at the overall health of the business and looking for new things. Like while I'm in the trenches leading the troops in battle, Vance is, flying his drone UAV 30,000 feet over the battlefield, looking at new opportunities, new places to explore, and potential threats on the flank. So
No, that's a really good way to put it. And then, yeah, it comes down to, and this should go for anybody who's sitting in whatever you want to call it, visionary, COC, is the um, Trey made a really good book, and I love it. It's a CEO only does three things, right? And it's the culture, people, and numbers. I know culture and people kind of seem like the same, but I'm always looking for that next good person to bring onto the team, making sure our core values are being embodied, of course, guiding and developing people, individuals, and then really making sure we have a pulse on our numbers. Those three things are like the most critical pieces, along with the big ideas and kind of bringing in those things. And that's not to say that Josh doesn't have any ideas for sure. I mean, heck, even this conversation is your big idea here, so I love it. So if your title was stripped away, what value do you really bring? And I used to joke even before I started a business that to a lot of people title matters, but it never mattered to me. You could have called me a sanitization engineer and I would have been fine. For those that don't know, that's like trash pickup or janitor or whatever you want to call it, right? Title doesn't matter to me, but it matters to a lot of people. um, Matter of fact, title matters so little to me that I believe in the organizational chart is flipped upside down. I hate the idea that everybody works for this top person, this person's above. It's upside down. I technically work for Josh. Josh works for the team, and the team work for the sellers and the buyers. That is a big principle I believe in. I don't believe in the hierarchy as well. So when we talk about what value you bring, it's like the CEO should be willing to take out the trash. And that's something that's super important to me. Like the CEO should be willing to, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to go spiritual a little bit here, but Jesus Christ washed people's feet. It doesn't matter. You should not be above any role and responsibility. Anything that you're going to ask of somebody else to do, you should be willing to do yourself. Whether that's clearing out a house, you should be able to get your hands dirty and be willing to do it. Now, does that mean you're going to do it on every property and do it? No, there's actually value that you got to provide
Mhm.
to the organization, but you got to be willing to get your hands dirty to get down in the trenches with your team. And so that to me is like what the value you got to bring.
100%. I totally agree. I think for me, and I think because I started from the bottom, now we're here. But I think it also makes it easier for me because I've been there, and so I really I keep the people first mentality. That's just how I'm wired too. I'm a youth pastor. I used to teach drums at a private school. I used to teach self defense classes and women's self defense classes. I've just always enjoyed coaching and teaching. So if my title was completely stripped away, it'd still be the same thing of how can I make sure that all the people on our team are positively impacted? How can they continue to grow and have the same epiphanies that I had and same opportunities that I had? And then same thing for the people that we serve, our sellers and buyers. You get someone who is given a house that is near being torn down and they're in tears because they don't know what to do because mom and dad left them with a mess, or someone who's about to go into foreclosure. I would still want to just try to figure out a way to help. Same thing for everyone we work with when it comes to attorneys' offices and other local people. Title doesn't matter. It's
No,
still serving and finding a way to help everybody grow. That's the same thing I would do.
no, 100%. Matter of fact, when we even go into like attorneys' offices, like the first person that we want to help serve isn't going to be the attorney. It's the office staff, it's the office admin. It doesn't matter about title because it's a team effort. So,
100%. Vance, what's one thing that most people don't know about you, in or outside of business?
all right. So I got two things that come to mind because first one is like a heavy tech nerd, cybersecurity, right? Like I had 20 years as a system software engineer. So a lot of people don't know that about me. I've got to have the honor of being, deployed overseas, military to working with the NSA, DoD, even industrial control systems, power plants, that kind of stuff. So I've had that kind of honor doing that. So that would be one side. And then for those that don't actually know, is um, I like to share this story is that greed in business helped me find my faith. It was through greed, wanting to make so much money, that I found the Four Spiritual Laws of Prosperity book, which helped me find Christ. And so that was probably the biggest epiphany is that business helped lead me to Christ in the most ironic way. So those would be a few things that most people don't know about me.
I love that. That's a really good one.
Yeah.
If I had to answer, let's see. Um, Most people that aren't close to me don't know that music is heavily involved in mine and my whole family's life. My uncle was a music major, went to school for his master's in teaching, so music was his thing, and he was my pastor for years. So as a kid, I was voluntold to take piano lessons after school. My uncle plays bass, cousin plays piano, drums, guitar. Like all of us play music and sing. So music's always been heavily involved in our lives, and I'm rarely sitting in silence. I usually will have music on, or I will be humming something or drumming on the desk. And Vance is aware because I can't. I'll sometimes sing what I'm thinking.
That's so funny.
I can't help it. And then two, I did Krav Maga for 5-ish years. It's the Israeli combat system. So we were under the IDS. It's the KMA, which is the American side of that, but so they train civilians. So I've been to Israel and trained with their military groups. They've come here and trained us, and I did that for years under my instructor Tony Price. Did my second degree black belt, which for them it's levels, but we did counter-terror stuff. We taught security seminars at churches when all the active shootings were happening some years ago. So yeah, I was actively in martial arts stuff because I don't know, as a kid, I was just like GI Joe. It sounds
Yeah.
cool, and then I just got hooked to it because I realized a lot of the science behind some of that stuff was like a physical chess game, and so that was kind of my obsession for like 5 years before I got sick and had to take a break.
So what you heard is that Josh can kill somebody with two fingers. So if I blink twice, then I'm under threat. Just putting that out there.
You never woke up this morning.
See?
Just kidding. All right. What's a value that you refuse to compromise on? So, Vance, we talked about the five core values our company has. Out of those five, I know they're all extremely important to us. And the real answer to this question is none. But what's the one core value out of the five that is like the most important, no compromise?
Yeah, that one's actually it's a no brainer. It's an easy one for me. And it's going to be integrity. We always say all the core values sit under the roof of integrity, because it doesn't matter if you're a selfless servant, you take ownership, you're striving, and you have tenacity if you do it all without integrity. Uh, a definition of integrity is doing the right thing always. And I mean always. Like, you could get away with it and you still want to do the right thing. We've got examples of when we've done the right thing. Even after closing, there's $1,000 that's like even geared toward where we actually got $1,000 extra. The buyer didn't catch it, the attorney didn't catch it. It was weeks after closing. We discovered it through our finance and we still paid that back out. It's just doing the right thing always. Even if you have a handshake deal like we've done before and another offer comes in 20,000 higher, we honor our word. We didn't have anything in writing, so we were legally not bound at all to this buyer, but we had a handshake deal. Now, we're a for-profit company. Did we go and learn our lesson and have discussions about it afterwards? Absolutely. We went to improve our process, but we always hold integrity no matter what. And we've been wrong. There's been cases where I still remember where somebody quit because of our integrity. I'll never forget this. This is why integrity is so important. Now, are we going to make mistakes? Absolutely. It's what we do about it. And so we used to have a scripting language where in our script with acquisitions, you'd have to check with the finance partner, and that's because before you made an offer, you had to check with the finance partner. Well, we changed our process, but not our script. And so when we got somebody new in, they kept saying they're going to check with the finance partner, but never did. And he felt out of line with integrity where he quit because he said, you talk about integrity, but then you do this. And what was so interesting is we brought him back 3 days later, but in that moment, I called and I appreciate him. And a few days later, we called him to say, look, we updated our script. We didn't realize it. And I appreciate this, and to let him know. And we gave the chance to come back because, again, we're going to make errors. We're going to make mistakes, but it's what you do once you realize it. So again, it's doing the right thing. Even after the fact, when you make mistakes and integrity can be viewed, it's perspective. It matters. So there's tons and tons of examples where integrity is everything. And the brutal truth about integrity is it's like armor. Once there's that chink in the armor, its integrity is compromised. It's not useful. It's done. You have to get a new plate, right? And that whole same principle goes when your brand, your reputation, your name, and as soon as that integrity is compromised just once, the name is tarnished. I don't believe that you can ever come back from it. And so to me, it is the most important thing. Again, will there be mistakes where you didn't know? Absolutely. It's what you do afterwards that matters just as much.
100%. I totally agree. I think all four core values are amazing, but they all, and that's why I may even try to put our logo here so you can see it. Um, but that's why we say it's under the roof of integrity,
Mm-hmm.
because you can strive and you have to strive to stay on this team, striving for more, to grow, to do things, but you have to do it with integrity. Are you striving too much that is coming from the wrong place in your heart? Like it's you got to have integrity, ownership. You have to own an outcome, even if it's not necessarily your fault. Ownership, so that you continue to grow. And again, that's integrity partners with it, but integrity also is owning an outcome when no one's watching it. Again, it's under integrity. That's also the definition of integrity. Being a selfless servant and serving others. I mean, if you've refused to do that, one, you're not being a selfless servant, and two, you've also compromised your integrity because you're serving yourself instead of someone else. And then tenacity, always looking, forward, being able to hunker down, weather the storm, look outside and see the flower growing and know that yes, we're coming. Like again, that has to do with integrity and how if you tell people you're going to continue doing well, you're going to keep pushing forward, and you're just not, then yes, you've lost your tenacity, but you've also compromised your integrity because
Yeah.
of what you said to get on the team. So all of those are super important, but without integrity, they all fail, or they can never truly be accomplished. So I think that's why it's the biggest and most important one.
Yeah.
Looks like that's it for us. If y'all have any other questions that you'd like to know, feel free to reach out to us on any of the social media platforms. We'd be happy to connect with you, chat with you. If it's something that maybe you're looking to get into real estate, get into wholesaling, you're just kind of curious and like to know more, you can email me at joshua@scalebysystems.com. You can reach out to the page here, and someone will be happy to get with you. Me and Vance will get on a call, take you to lunch, something like that. Um,
And who knows, maybe it'll turn into an interview.
Watch out. It happened. All
Okay.
right. Bye, y'all.